welcome to the very first finals preview here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. If only most of you knew how long I have waited to say that and do this preview. I never knew who we were going to play. I felt like we would always, at some point, make the finals and play finals football. And it is surreal to have just said what I did. We are playing finals football. It's Carlton. It's Sydney at the MCG on a Friday night. 7:50 in front of hopefully 90,000 people or more. And this is it. This is what we have been waiting for. Many weeks, months, years, just to get to a point where we can contend. I mean, it could all end on Friday night, but the fact that we are just here and have an opportunity to watch our club contend for a premiership, this is why all of us really support. This is why we go to the football. This is why we keep the support, not only through ourselves and our own lives, but through our children, grandchildren. It's deep and it's beautiful and it is a wonderful time to be alive. And it doesn't and it wouldn't feel as exciting as what it does, I don't believe, had we not gone through what we went through. I spent so long asking, like, what is it all for? You know? Well, what's all this for? Is it going to be worth it? Is it going to feel good? Is it really that exciting? And you watch other clubs who have regularly appeared in finals and, you know, for them, this is just another experience to add to what they already have. And eventually we'll get to that point. I'd like to think that we are building something at this club which carries sustained success where, you know, playing finals football and qualifying for finals football is the standard and the norm. But while we have it here for the very first time, it's very special, you know? So I can't help but stay in the moment because it's the only moment I've ever felt like this while creating and while documenting and while covering it. So here we go. And I thought about it and I'm like, the whole lot, you know, what is this week going to be? All I have in my mind are these sounds and these images. Taking my first steps at the train station. The sound of my Mikey touching on. You know?
Now arriving at Richmond.
The packed train. The nervous energy. The walk out of the train station and into the MCG. Up the steps. It's wonderful. It is wonderful. And just to be at the MCG. Special. Very special. So, us and the Swans. Let's think about it. Filming this on Monday. There's a few things happening with the Blues. So many storylines. So many notions. Said this last week, one of the first thing that comes to mind is this is the third time I've watched the Carlton Football Club play the Sydney Swans in a final. The first two were both in Sydney. Both losses. We finally get a chance to play them on our home deck in front of our home fans. So I wonder what that's like. The players, I think the leaders who have stuck fat with the club throughout very tumultuous times. I think of Patrick Cripps. I think of the draft class of 2015, who have now become the spine of this football club and this team, who have now matured into their, I think, the beginning of their prime. various contract negotiations and question marks over whether they were going to stay or not. And so for them to have stuck with the club, believed in the club, and wanted to build something from the ground up, and now to be able to watch Patrick Cripps, Sam Doherty, Wiedering, Kerno, Mackay, these guys, I mean all of them, but these guys in particular who have been around for the longest on this list, to watch them play in their first final, remarkable. I think you only get one chance at a first impression. Now, we've seen them all play. We know the talent that they have, but we haven't seen them in finals football. And there's a quote which really resonates with me at the moment, which is, you really find out about yourself when you are nervous and when that fear and those butterflies kick in. It's a very powerful feeling because ultimately you have a choice. And what I'm excited to see is who is going to embrace those nerves and that fear and thrive under it, and who's going to need some more work under it. Because, there are great players who have come and gone in this league for any club, but finals football elevates to a different level. So there is a large portion of our team who will be experiencing the feeling of a final for the first time. And we are going to learn a lot about a lot of people this Friday night, and really for the rest of the final series, if we stay in and we win and we make it and we keep going and we go on this run. So I think of that. We really kept a lot of the list. Most people stuck around, which I'm really proud of for those people that stuck around, for those players that stuck fat and believed in what they were building, because that's ultimately what they were doing. They were putting in the work to get through the other end and play finals football and contend for premierships. So I'm excited for that. And I think, nothing's guaranteed just because we're here. I think of winning. I think of losing. I think if we lost, I would still be very proud of what was achieved this year, considering where we came from and what we had to overcome. It was very hard to talk about it like that in the moment because of how bad it seemingly felt in the moment. But now that we're on the other end, it makes sense. I mean, it doesn't feel this good without overcoming the thing. So I would expect us to draw some confidence from that. I think what I would expect is to see our defensive application that has become really a trademark of this team in that second half of the season go up another level. And I think when you feel those nerves, when you feel that those butterflies in your stomach, that choice of fighting it with action and jumping into it with action and laying a big tackle or shepherd or doing something selfless, those are the things that I think are crucial for us this week, rather than just being overcome with that nervous energy. But I don't feel that this is a group that gets too nervous. I think this group have been building and waiting and visualizing this for too long. So, there is a notion of how long will it take for us to settle into the game. My mind goes back to 2011. We were favourites to beat Essendon. We took probably 15 minutes of that first quarter to settle into that game. So I do wonder what that'll be for us. But again, this is why it's important to have a process-driven approach to things, because when you have that uncertainty, you go back to what is the fundamental principle of doing your job for the team. So that's exciting. Now the Swans, mate, I've always had a great respect for the Swans as a club, the culture. They've got match winners, they've got X-factor players, and I think they even need to be acknowledged for getting to finals as well, considering where they were at certain points in the year. Obviously they played in a grand final last year and the season didn't start too well for them. They found themselves in a hole not dissimilar to us, probably not as bad as what we were, but a hole nonetheless. And there are players who will give us trouble all over the field. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. Team selection, big conversation amongst the Carlton faithful. We have graciously been given an opportunity, or we've earned the right to rest Cripps in the last round and Sam Doherty, given that we were able to clinch our final spot in round 23. So to have a fit and firing Cripps and Doherty with some rest under their belt as we go into the final series, I think is a big tick for us. I think Jesse Motlop has played well enough to play in this team. So whether he comes in or not, we will see. And I think the other contentious one is Mark Pitternet. Now, where I sit on the Mark Pitternet conversation is really straightforward. In a final, I want people who are willing to die on the field and who have that warrior, soldier spirit. And I think that is what Mark Pitternet embodies when it's all said and done. So I think a guy that's willing to die and leave it out there on the field like Pitto is a guy that I want out there. Now, that would mean we probably need to trade out a small to bring in someone like Pitto and have him and TDK in the same side. We will see what selection gives us, but I think those are the 4 names that are up for discussion. I don't know if Jack Silvani's ready. I don't know if Matt Kennedy's ready. They may be, but those are the 4 names that I think have been on the top of everybody's list of conversation. We had a great outing on Saturday. The open training, vibes were high, conversations were had. It was awesome. People going to finals training for the first time. I went to finals training for the first time. So there's a lot of excitement. I don't feel nerves yet. Maybe I will on Friday. I think I might be pretty jittery on Friday. But as it sits right now, it's more excitement for what's to come and just absorbing every moment as it comes and goes past me. So that's that. I think no matter what happens, like I said, there is a lot to be proud of. The discussion last week around leaving early in round 24 was an interesting one. I think there is a powerful notion that if we were to lose, how powerful it would be for us all to stick around, wait for the boys to come off the field and clap them off. I like that. I like that notion. I think that sends a strong message. Now, I'm not planning to lose. I'm planning to win. But I think it's important to show our support more than ever. I think after speaking with Matt Owies last week and talking to him about how to get your focus and how to keep your focus, and then conversely, what the crowd actually does for the playing group on game day, I thought that was a really interesting interaction that I took a lot from. And what I took from it was what the supporters, what we can do in the crowd is we can create that environment where they feel safe and they feel comfortable to keep pushing through levels which they may or may not have believed they could push to. You know, I think we've talked about that red zone a lot on this channel and how much they're willing to push themselves. So the louder we are, the more home it feels for them. And the more home it feels for them, I think the better they're going to be able to execute in the moments. Because from what I've watched from finals football in my time watching this game, finals becomes, it really just zeroes in and becomes a series of moments. So I think that is a job that we as the supporters now carry. We have a duty to do everything in our power to create a really supportive and electric atmosphere, and they will feed off it, and it'll give them a little bit more energy throughout the game. And when there are those tough moments and when there are those moments of, you know, heavy fatigue, it may help them just go that little bit more. So I look forward to seeing that. Man, I look forward to the Australian national anthem, that first moment after it finishes, the last line, and then the roar of the crowd. Hoi, hoi vey. For those of you who have been here watching previews since 2018, baby, we did it. We are here. And yeah, I just think, you know, they know what to do. For us, we've just got to sit back and hope for the best. There is nothing we can really do that will influence the outcome on the day, apart from maybe what I spoke about with the energy and the support in the crowd. But hey, it is what it is. I mean, I'm confident. I visualize the Swans really testing us, given the finals experience that they do have. I wonder what that will actually mean for the game, if it will be a factor, if we will be talking about the finals experience at the end of the game, because they have a lot of it, to be fair. But I just look across the ground. I just think it means way too much to our group to let it slide, to have it on our terms the way that we do. We are the favourite. There is that expectation. But I would be really shocked if any of that external noise seeped into their internal this week. I think they just are fully focused. I saw them, when I spoke to Owies last week, I could see it in his eyes. I mean, they're ready. They have worked so hard to get to this point that I just feel like they're ready. So I go in confident. I hope for health this week. No late outs, nothing like that. And I just can't wait to be there nice and early at the MCG just to smell the air. So that's how I see it. I think the Blues will win by a nice margin after a really heavy challenge from the Swans. So I'm trying to manifest that, I think. I just want like an 8-goal quarter, imagine that, an 8-goal quarter this week. Just blow them away. But yeah, look, I'm inexperienced in this situation, so I don't want to be too naive. I want to make sure that I'm respecting the opposition, which I am. I'm not taking anything for granted. And that has been a big lesson for 2023, irrespective of what happens on Friday. You take nothing for granted. Just because we've made it now doesn't mean we're going to continue to make it. Got to keep getting better and evolving. But yeah. What about you? How are you going? Did you get a ticket? What do you think of team selection? How do you feel early in the week while you're watching this? Or if you're watching it later in the week, how do you actually feel ahead of this game? What are the thoughts and the notions that come and go through your mind when you think of this Friday night? Let us know in the comments below and we will go from there. And as always, go Blues.